más y nada menos lleva 23 años, casi 24 años, investigando las propiedades, los beneficios del fruto del noni, y que hoy se ha dado tiempo de estar con nosotros para compartir con todos ustedes estas propiedades, estas investigaciones, y que ustedes tengan en las manos herramientas, información que puede ser de utilidad para que ustedes compartan con otras personas los beneficios de este extraordinario producto que forma parte ahora del portafolio al cual ustedes tienen acceso. Así es que no quiero quitarle más tiempo y le quiero dar la bienvenida. Brett, thank you very much for being here. We are so glad. It is an honor for me to be able to present you and to be able to be learning from you too. So thank you for your time. We are looking forward to hear from you, to learn from you, and we appreciate your time. And so the micro is all yours, and we are all here for you.
Okay, es un placer. I'm going to speak in English because my wife tells me my Spanish accent is terrible.
So the translation is being done, so you can keep going.
Okay, good. All right. So I'm glad to hear so many people from different countries joining this call this evening. And I do have family connections in Mexico, and they are Chilangos, you know, in Mexico City. So, and then I heard California, Southern California, where I'm from originally, and I have family still there in Santa Ana and down there. And then my wife also lived in the Dominican Republic for a while, so some connection there too. I didn't hear, I heard Colombia, and I didn't hear any Chilenos. I don't know if there's any Chilenos or any Bolivianos or anybody like that, but I had family that have lived there as well. And then, but anyhow, so even though I have all those family connections, like I said, I speak like a gringo, so I'm gonna just stick with the English. So it's my pleasure to speak with you this evening about Tahitian NoniMax. And thank you for joining me this evening. And I've learned a lot of things about noni over these more than 2 decades, and it's really a wonderful fruit. And that's really the basis of Tahitian NoniMax, is where we started. So let's go to the next slide. So like I said, we'll go next slide. I'll wait there for a minute. Tahitian noni Max began with the noni fruit. So, are we there with the, okay. Maybe I try this in Proximo. There we go. Okay. So, Tahitian NoniMax began with the noni fruit. So back, as Angel talked about, back in 1996, we introduced Tahitian noni juice to the world. And the noni fruit had been used by the Polynesian people for many generations. And this was to improve their health. And noni was highly valued as a medicinal plant among these people. In fact, there was a man named Dr. Arthur Whistler. He was an ethnobotanist, and he was affiliated with the U.S. National Tropical Botanical Garden in Hawaii. And he had written in his book entitled Polynesian Herbal Medicine that the noni plant was the most widely and commonly used medicinal plant prior to the arrival of the Europeans, prior to the European era in the Pacific. Now, there's been quite a variety of health uses of noni fruit juice. Many of these have been validated in human clinical trials. And these benefits include supporting the immune system, boosting energy and physical endurance, helping the joints of the body, such as the knee and hips and so on, cardiovascular or heart health benefits. It has antioxidant action, and it helps the mood, helps our mood, and much more. Next slide, please. An example of one of these clinical trials was conducted at the University of Illinois College of Medicine here in the United States. It's over near Chicago. Now, this clinical trial involved 245 people who were cigarette smokers. And this was a 1-month double-blind, placebo-controlled clinical trial. The results of this trial revealed that drinking Tahitian noni juice reduced cigarette-caused DNA damage by about 45 to 57%. And this effect occurred while people continued to smoke heavily. In fact, they were smoking about 19 cigarettes per day. Now, our chemical analysis of Tahitian noni juice revealed that this effect was associated with a group of phytonutrients in noni fruit called iridoids. Go to the next slide. Now, to see if the iridoids in the noni fruit were truly responsible for the DNA protection effect, we isolated the iridoids from the noni fruit, extracted them from the noni fruit, and then performed an experiment. And this is an experiment I conducted. And in this experiment, I exposed cells, the cells that we have that make up, bodies and so forth. I exposed these cells to a carcinogen. It's named 4NQO for short. And you see this large red bar there. And the 4NQO damages DNA. Now, I measured the amount of DNA damage that this carcinogen caused to the cells. Then I gave a new group of cells, iridoids, first, from the noni fruit. Now, these iridoids, their names have been shortened to DAA and AA because their names are much longer. But I gave these cells iridoids before exposing them again to the carcinogen. And I once again measured the amount of DNA damage that occurred afterwards. What I found was that the iridoids reduced the DNA damage by about 99%. They almost completely protected the DNA from the carcinogen. Now, from this experiment, we learned that the iridoids were responsible for the effect seen in the clinical trial with the cigarette smokers. So the iridoids were a very important part of noni. Next slide, please. So the question I ask is, what are iridoids? Or the question you may ask, or what are iridoids? Well, they are a special group of phytonutrients. Now, fruits are made up of mostly 5 main things. The first is water. This is why you can make a juice from fruit. They have a lot of water. Next, there are carbohydrates, such as sugar and fiber, or pulp. The fiber is the pulp. This is why many fruits are sweet tasting. Now, fruit also contains vitamin C, with oranges being a good example. They have a lot of vitamin C. Now, fruits also contain minerals such as potassium. Now, the vitamins and minerals in fruits are called nutrients. And finally, there are a group of substances that are good for your health, but are not strictly defined as nutrients. They are not vitamins, they are not essential minerals, but they can have a significant impact on your health. And these substances are called phytonutrients. Some groups of phytonutrients are present in all fruits, but iridoids are actually very rare and found only in a few fruits. Noni is one of those rare fruits that contains iridoids. That's why it's so special. Next slide, please. When looking for new iridoid sources that we might combine with noni to create max, we became aware of Asian cornelian cherries. These are not regular cherries, they are a special kind of cherry, cornelian cherries. We wanted to know what potential biological effects these new iridoids may have. So I read the report of some research conducted at a university in Japan, which showed that iridoids from Asian cornelian cherries may improve blood sugar levels in diabetic animals. These scientists also reported that iridoids also reduce AGEs, and I'll talk a little bit more about AGEs in a few moments. Now, I learned that AGEs are involved in a number of health problems, And I shared this information with my colleagues in the research and product marketing departments here at our company. And eventually, we as a company realized the importance of focusing our effort on helping people understand and control the effects of AGEs in our bodies. And this is one of our driving forces today and why we created Max. So we created NoniMax, but first we identified Asian cornelian cherries as an additional source of iridoids. Then we conducted chemical analyses of another species of European cornelian cherry to see if it had iridoids. And we did this because there was no published scientific research that we could find which told us if this European cornelian cherry species had them in it. So we conducted research in our own laboratories and then published our findings in a scientific journal. We also found out that olive leaf extract contained a phytonutrient that is a type of iridoid, although a little different than the kind found in noni. So we use these all together for Max. With all this data, we then formulated Max to be a supercharged version of Tahitian noni juice. Max contains noni, but also has the cornelian cherries and the olive leaf extract. This product improves energy, mental focus, and promotes overall health, in addition to other things. One major benefit of Max is its ability to reduce advanced glycation end products, or AGEs, as we shorten this to in English. Go to the next slide. So why should we care about that Max lowers AGEs? Well, this is best explained by helping you understand what AGEs are and what they do to our bodies. In earlier years, AGEs were simply called glycotoxins. And this term was used because scientists didn't fully understand what the high sugar levels in diabetes were eventually converted to. They knew that high sugar levels in blood caused lots of health problems, but they didn't know exactly what all the chemical reactions were that were involved. It only has been within the last 30 years that scientists have figured out that AGEs are the culprit. They're involved in diabetes. So in simple terms, AGEs are a certain type of chemical that can form when sugar and proteins react with each other. AGEs can be formed within our body or can already be present in some of the food we eat. There are several different types of AGEs, but they all can cause health problems and accelerate the aging process. Now, how rapidly AGEs are formed in the body can be influenced by a number of factors. One factor that is common to everyone is your age in years, how old you are. And as we get older, the AGE levels in our bodies tend to increase. This is because our ability to control the accumulation of AGEs declines over time. Things that increase the oxidative stress in our bodies, such as smoking cigarettes, can also increase the rate of AGE production. And there are also health conditions that will cause AGE levels to increase well above those expected for our chronological age, or for how old we are in years. Next slide, please. So AGEs have a wide range of health effects on our bodies and on our health. Some chronic conditions that are known to be associated with AGEs are vision impairment, diabetes, heart disease, kidney damage, and Alzheimer's disease. There are others also. But something that is common to all of us, whether we suffer from one of these conditions or not, is aging. AGEs are very much involved in the aging process. Next slide. AGEs are believed to contribute to the aging process or the loss of integrity and function of the organs, as well as decreased ability to respond to stress, whether physical, chemical, or biological. Next slide, please. Now in this graph, these are the results of a study completed in China, where 991 people had the AGE levels in their bodies measured by a special technique called skin autofluorescence. And as is shown, the AGE levels tended to increase. They increase as we get older, just like the AGE levels in our other organs do that as well. So this was based on 991 people in China. Next slide, please. Now here are the results from 1,476 people that we measured in the United States in the year 2013. As you can see, the trend is the same for the previous study I just showed. AGE levels tend to increase as we get older. So this is part of the aging process. So it doesn't matter whether you're in China or in the United States or anywhere else in the world. Now, there are many other studies I could review with you about how iridoids control AGEs, but I'd like to get right to the most important information. We completed a double-blind, placebo-controlled human clinical trial on the effect of MAX in overweight adults. Among the many things that we measured was AGE levels. In this study, drinking MAX produced declines in average AGE levels. And to explain how this related to the aging process, I've reported something called true age readings. So the average chronological age of people in this clinical trial was 41 years old. Now, using a special scanner, we were measured AGE levels in the skin. We found that their average true age, or the age that best corresponds to their AGE levels, was 44.7 years. So these people had AGE levels that are expected in people about 4 years older than themselves. After drinking MAX for 4 weeks, their AGE levels were measured again. But this time, the average true age had declined to 30.2. That's almost a 15-year decrease. They continued to drink MAX for another 4 weeks, and their average true age remained below their chronological age. So it lowered AGEs to a level less than was expected for their typical age. Next slide, please. Now, here are the results of a population survey conducted in Japan with something called a true age scanner that measures AGE levels in corroboration with Kurume University School of Medicine. That's a university in Japan. This study involved about 4,000 people. And a survey of lifestyle factors and iridoid intake was included in this study. And what we were able to see from this population study is that there was a significant association between daily iridoid intake and lower AGE levels. So people's true age, or their AGE levels, tended to decrease as they drank more iridoid-containing beverages, such as tea shinoni juice and tea shinoni Max. Remember, Max has more iridoids than tea shinoni juice. So this lets us know that iridoids are big players in the anti-AGE effects of Max. Again, with 4,000 people in this study. Now, another possible way in which iridoids may also help control AGEs is by influencing how well we metabolize sugar. To test this, we arranged for a pilot-sized clinical trial. It means it's a smaller clinical trial, smaller than 4,000, of course, but to be conducted at Brigham Young University in Hawaii, the Hawaii campus. This trial included diabetic and pre-diabetic adults, and their fasting blood sugar levels were measured before the start of the trial and then after drinking Max for 30 days. The average fasting glucose at the beginning was very high. It was 185.2 milligrams per deciliter, a very high level. For those of you who know or measure blood glucose, you'll know that's very high. After 1 month, there was a significant decline to 175.5 milligrams per deciliter. This was observed without any other changes to lifestyle. And similar results were seen for something called glycosylated hemoglobin, or A1C, by Dr. Johannes Westendorf's research group at the University of Hamburg in Germany. So there are 2 universities that have observed this. Now, not everybody may experience such dramatic results. This shows that for some of us, it's possible. Let's go to the next slide. Thank you. Tahitian NoniMax, of course, has very strong antioxidant properties. I've completed laboratory measurements of antioxidant activity with Max, and it was much higher than many other superfruit products. But we also tested the antioxidant strength of Max in a human clinical trial where we had people drink the product, and then we took a blood sample to measure the level of antioxidant potential in the blood. And we also compared its antioxidant strength against red Sicilian orange juice, which is known to be a good source of antioxidants. So we're comparing against another healthy beverage. And in this study, we found that Max had about 25 times more antioxidant activity than red Sicilian orange juice. Now, this is a very incredible finding, extremely strong antioxidant activity. Let's go to the next slide. In another human study we conducted in 2012, we found that Max can improve the fitness level of athletes. So 20 track and field athletes at Brigham Young University volunteered to participate in this study. Half of them drank Max, the other half consumed a vitamin C tablet for 1 month. We wanted to see if the improved physical performance was due to the regular antioxidant effects, such as might occur with vitamin C, or if there's a different special effect from the iridoids. That's why we used vitamin C comparator. At the beginning of the study, all athletes ran as fast as they could for 6 minutes, or as far as they could for 6 minutes, fast and far. And the distance they ran during that time was recorded. Then after 4 weeks of drinking Max or taking the vitamin C, the 6-minute run was repeated and the distance again recorded. We found that those who drank Max were able to run 74 meters farther. This means that they were able to run much faster than the other group. 74 meters, that's almost the length of a football, soccer pitch, field, pretty far. And in Russia, we wanted to officially register Max as a healthy food. And we were able to do that through the government. But to do this, we were required to have a clinical trial of Max completed by the government's Institute of Nutrition. So we decided to test the ability of Max to help obese people with losing weight and improving their heart health. Let's go to the next slide. In this clinical trial included obese people who had been admitted to a health clinic to help them lose weight. And for 3 weeks they spent at the clinic, these patients were put on a strict low-calorie and low-sodium diet. Their weight was measured. They also had other medical tests completed at the beginning of the study, and after being at the health clinic for 3 weeks, and then after being home for 3 weeks. And while the patients were at their homes, they were instructed to continue to follow the same diet. A group of 30 patients was also asked to drink 120 milliliters of Max every day. And the other group did not drink Max and was the control or reference group that we were comparing against. And again, the purpose of this study to see if there was any added benefit from drinking Max during a low-calorie diet. Next slide. What was very surprising to see was the effect of Max and TNJ on weight loss. We did this also with TNJ, but with Max especially, significant results. The people in all the groups ate less food, and they reduced their calorie intake, like I mentioned. But the people in the control group, again, didn't drink Max. And after 3 weeks, the people in all groups lost weight. During the next 3 weeks, though, the people in the control group actually began to regain the weight they lost. However, those drinking Max continued to lose weight, as you can see here in this group, in this graph. So Max helps keep the weight off, and I'll explain a little what we found out why. Next slide. One of the medical measurements of this clinical trial was the percentage of muscle mass in their body. Now, when people diet, by reducing the amount of food they eat, they will lose some muscle in addition to the fat. The muscle loss is often an unfortunate side effect of restricting calories. This also makes it harder for people to keep the weight off long term because muscle is very good at using calories and burning up calories. And in this study, we saw that Max helped protect some of the muscle mass, as you can see here. Those who drank Max did not lose as much muscle as those in the control group. This is probably why the Max group was able to continue to lose weight when the control group started to regain some weight after they went home for that last 3 weeks. Let's go to the next slide here. When people lose weight, there's often a decrease in what we call basal metabolism. This simply means that not as many calories are being used up by the body. As I said just a few minutes ago, weight loss involves some muscle loss. And this means that there is usually less energy or fewer calories being used by the body. And the decline in basal metabolism seen in the control group is what is typically seen during a diet. But for those drinking Max, the basal metabolism actually increased. And this helped them keep the weight off. Next slide here. So this, now you know why Max is special. You know the history and reason why we created it. It's supercharged wellness. That's what we call it. And there are other studies that we could review tonight, but I thought I would just give you this good introduction here. And I thank you for letting me speak with you this evening about Max. And so, Angel, I don't know if we have time, if there's any questions or what you would like to do here.
Thank you very much, Brett. It's amazing. Let me turn off the translation because I hear myself. So thank you very much, Brett. It's great to learn from you. Thank you very much for being here, for your knowledge. I'm going to be speaking in Spanish a little bit. Gracias a todos. Miren, acabamos de escuchar a una de las personas que yo considero, y estoy seguro, no, sin temor a equivocarme, que es una de las autoridades más importantes a nivel mundial para poder hablar del fruto del noni. 23 años estudiando, casi 24 años estudiando el noni, lo respaldan. Él es el director de investigación y desarrollo de New Age y ha sido el director de investigación y desarrollo de la empresa desde hace muchos años. Y hay que aprovecharlo ahorita que lo tenemos aquí, hay que aprovechar ahorita que tenemos aquí a Brett. Su agenda es muy apretada, pero hizo un espacio hoy para poder compartir con nosotros algunas de esas investigaciones que se han llevado a cabo y que ahorita ustedes seguro ya tomaron notas. Así es que no se vayan sin aclarar alguna duda que tengan. Yo por aquí, dicen que no se escucha. No, sí, dice, perfecto. A ver, there are some questions, Brett. Let me share those with you. If someone has, if someone has thyroid problem, can they drink NoniMax? Thyroid, is that correct?
Yeah, sí.
Okay.
Yes, they can. Yeah, there's no contraindication for Max that I'm aware of with that thyroid report. In fact, it would probably be a good thing to do. You know, if they want to drink it as part of their healthy a diet, the food they take and the good things they're doing. If they're exercising also, these are good things for you. Max is a good thing for you to do also.
Great. Thank you, Brett. Another question here from Evelyn Rodriguez. What age can you start drinking Max?
It's a good question. You can drink Max as soon as you can drink fruit juices. So for small children, there's no, as soon as they're able to drink juice, then go ahead and start drinking Max.
Okay. Thank you, Brett. Leticia Gomez is asking us, are there any like cancer patients testimonials or clinical trials?
Well, this is a good question. I'd say yes. We don't make an official statement that this helps with that, right? But you remember the one study I showed at the beginning where how it protected DNA. Certainly it's helpful for keeping your body healthy and trying to reduce your risk for developing that kind of thing. We haven't done a clinical trial with, well, that's not in, I'm going to be a little careful here. We have some information to say that it's worth trying, while if you're having a problem there. So we have some data on the noni fruit and other things too with how it can benefit people who are concerned about cancer.
Okay, great. Thank you, Brett. Saul Alejandro is asking, how much should I drink and at what time in the day?
So you can actually drink as much as you like, and you can drink whenever you like in the day. So there's no prescribed, there's no procedure that you particularly need to follow. You drink at least 30 milliliters. You can drink at any time of the day you would like. Whatever works best for you, make sure you drink it. That's what we want. When we do some of the clinical trials, we have had people drink in the morning and then in the evening, morning, evening, twice a day. You'll see the one study we did 120 milliliters. So they drank 60 milliliters in the morning, 60 in the evening. But whatever works best for you is what you should do. But again, in the clinical trial, we did morning and evening.
Okay, great, Brett. If you're okay, there's another question from Erwin Sanchez. Is there any information about max and blood pressure?
There is with some noni as well. So we have seen some benefit there. And we actually published some research. So remember, Max has noni in there. And so we took basically Tahitian noni juice and found some more iridoid sources to add to it, right? Supercharge it. So with Max, yes. So with Tahitian noni juice, yes, as well. And so, but again, that depends on the circumstances. We're not going to guarantee it, but it certainly should be tried. So we did do a small study at a university where we saw it had an impact on systolic blood pressure, especially. That's the one where the heart contracts, the high number. It had the biggest effect on that high number.
Okay, great. So Alejandro Sorio is asking, how can we get or obtain, or where can we look for the this study that you mentioned in which the athletes were able to run faster and they ran 74 meters more than the ones that didn't drink?
Okay, so that one we're going to publish. We haven't published that one yet. We've done athlete studies with Tahitian noni juice, but the Max one we will publish that one. But if we wanted information, we could do a summary of it before we put it in the journal. So I gave them kind of a treat tonight. I gave them a little report on some of that. So extra data. So we actually have some clinical trials we haven't yet published. We've published quite a bit in the revistas, the journals, and we still are working on getting them in there because it takes some time. You have to submit it. The other scientists get to review all your work, see if it's good work, good research or not, then approve it for publication. And so we have to go through time, and we're doing that with Max. We're also doing that with the other RX products as well. We're, doing some additional research that I've been doing with, Elite and Vinali and, some of these new Lucent products as well. So we're trying to get them all together. We have this new family, right? Big family. And so I'm trying to get all this work done for all of the RX products as well. So it just takes time. But we, if somebody wants to really know those details, we can share that with them, and they can just email, and we'll eventually get back to them on that. But we're going to be doing that hopefully a little later this year, get that information published as well for Max.
Perfect. Thank you, Brett. And there's an interesting question here. What's the recommended doses for a person with diabetes?
I would start with 30 milliliters per day. See how you do. Make sure, because you're going to check your blood sugar level, make sure you're good with that, and then maybe go to 60 and see how you're doing. We did much higher in this study. Remember, we had these overweight adults. We had people with pre-diabetes, and we did anywhere from 30 to 120 milliliters per day. But I would recommend beginning with the 30 to see how they do, and then adjust, because each person is going to be a little different. So just see how they do. Be patient, but make sure you're responding well to it.
Okay. I don't want to take a lot of your time, Brett, but there are some questions here still. So
that's okay. I'm here with friends tonight. So
thank you, Brett. Thank you. We appreciate your time. And there are a couple of people here asking if Max and Slenderized drops can be combined.
Yes.
Is there any problem with this combination?
No. So the iridoids are very stable. And so if you take the Slenderized drops, you have the day and the night, and you can take them. And if you're at all, you can move them around, if you don't want to take them at the same time, you can spread them throughout the day. So you could take your Max in the morning, and take your day drops a little later, and then in the evening, if you want to, you can take some Max around dinner time, and then the night, and then evening drops either right before dinner, or, how we recommend. So you can move them around. You don't have to take them all at the same time. If you want to, again, you can, but you might want to space them out for convenience. But yeah, there's no problem.
Okay, great.
Doing that.
And Evelyn is asking, how long will I have to take the Max in order to see some effect or results in my body?
Good question. So here's the thing. Antioxidant effects happen immediately. So we did the studies there that I showed you with the 25 times higher than the red Sicilian orange juice. That was done when we had them drink the product, and then, within a half hour later, we drew blood, to sample it. So that effect is immediate, but, you don't really feel antioxidant effects till later on. It's sort of like, you're helping your body be healthy, and, it's hard to feel the difference if you're healthy, because you don't magically go from unhealthy. You can't predict the future and say, okay, here's how I would feel, a year from now not being healthy versus, how I feel a year from now trying to be healthy. So there's some things you won't be able to feel, like protecting DNA. What does that feel like? Well, you'll feel that, years down the road when you don't have a number of health problems related to DNA damage, So that's one thing. The other thing is that depending on what what are you expecting? So we've done some studies with people with, for instance, osteoarthritis. We followed them for 3 months, and we could see some benefits, over the 3-month period. And another study there was work done with, for instance, with Tisha Noni juice, where within within 4 weeks, they saw some improvement with joint health and joint, pain and things. Then we actually did a study in Chile with cyclists, professional cyclists, the ones that ride the bicycles and race the bicycles. And within 3 months, 3 weeks, they saw some improvement in their, what's called the VO2 max. That's a measure of their oxygen use in their body, oxygen intake, So they were actually, they were more fit, with after 3 weeks, they were seeing some improvement in endurance. And so again, I don't know exactly what the conditions are. We know that you can see some results within a few weeks with some people. Some things are longer. Again, with some of the 1 month studies, we see people who said they felt better, their mood was better, they were sleeping better, stuff like that. So kind of a long answer there, but it depends on what what do you need is really what matters there.
I see. Thank you very much, Brett. And there's one final question from Marisol Castro. Does Max increase muscle mass, or it helps only to maintain muscle mass?
So it helped protect muscle mass from being decreased. Okay, that's what we saw in the study. Now there was another study. So we're actually working on, so I don't want to reveal too much because we're actually doing some product development that relate to what he's kind of asking. So I don't want to reveal our secrets. We're actually working on something we're patenting. We're getting a United States and international patents for to help with some of these related things. But there was a study done with athletes again. That one involved people who were very overweight losing weight. We did another study with athletes, and that involved endurance, doing a treadmill test all the way to exhaustion, time to exhaustion, and measured the amount of muscle damage that was occurring from that extreme exercise. And we saw that the muscle was not being damaged as badly when they went to the extreme level. So it helped with recovery, so you less damage, it gave them better endurance, the recovery is faster. So in that case, it would help maintain your muscle that way. You can exercise it without causing extreme damage to it. There's always a little bit you want to have, that's kind of what exercise does, stress them some. But if you do too much, that's everybody who knows, who's really seriously involved in athletics and, fitness. If you do too much, it can be a bit of a problem sometimes. So in that case, it helps. But I would certainly say that you should add it. If you're trying to increase muscle, mass and gain, and trying to build your strength, you should do it. The iridoids in the cornelian cherries and noni are very good for that. And in noni, in fact, one of the traditional beliefs of noni is that it helped with body strength. Some of the Polynesian people, when they weren't feeling as strong, they'd take the noni, it would help them strengthen them. And we've done actually work with athletes, other studies. And we had actually some people involved in the NBA who were using noni. And, that was before we created Max. I'm sure they'd loved the Max, but, they said it was helping them with their endurance and their performance. And there's nothing illegal in there, of course. We've done all the doping testing and everything like that. It's just all natural. It's just good for you, and it just makes you strong.
Great. Thank you, Brett. I think if you're okay, the last question. We launched Noni Plus Collagen for RX reps here in Mexico a few months ago, and they are really happy with this product. They have seen results. They have made a lot of clients or customers. And Dulce is asking, can you combine Max with Noni Plus Collagen?
Yes, you can. So the part of the magic, or the science, I should say, it's not magic, it's science, but the noni actually helps you use the collagen well. That's part of the reason it's combined. And the noni, you probably have already heard all this, how the noni helps the body utilize, protect the collagen it has, and also helps the body make new collagen. So using Max with that certainly will do that. Will certainly help. Remember, this is what we call kind of the supercharged Tahitian noni, right? So this one would be very good to use also. So yes, definitely. In fact, I can't think of any product that you can't use in the whole RX New Age offering, that doesn't really fit with this. So I think most of the questions, if the reps are asking, can I use this together? The answer probably would be yes. There's, the one that it might not work together is if they have the purity air filter, you can't pour it into the air filter, you can drink it while the air is being filtered, but, and you don't want to put it in your purity water filter bottle because you don't want to filter out the good stuff, right? So maybe those are the two exceptions.
But all of the rest products, they can be combined.
Yeah.
Thank you, Brett. I think we are done with the questions, and you have been so great answering all of those questions that have been written here by our reps. So thank you once again. And I just want to add a little bit information here. Angélica, if you can, Angélica, si me puedes ayudar a poner la diapositiva de las dos botellas, por favor, para cerrar. I just want to point out that we have two different bottles. So, hola, buenas noches a todos nuevamente. Les quiero compartir que, como vieron en la presentación de Brett, ven dos botellas diferentes del jugo NoniMax. Esto se debe a que estamos justo en un punto en México en el que estamos cambiando la imagen de Max. Varios años hemos utilizado esta imagen, esta botella blanca que ustedes ven, una botella muy limpia que dice True Age Max. Ya entienden el porqué del True Age, ¿no? Y esta botella, pues básicamente muy limpia, ¿no? Blanca. Y ahora que hicimos el lanzamiento para ustedes en Arix, de que lo tengan disponible, este gran producto, estamos en medio de este cambio de imagen, así es que estarán recibiendo por el momento estas botellas blancas, pero en un periodo muy corto de tiempo van a estar empezando a recibir las botellas nuevas, en donde, como pueden ver, se ve como elemento esencial y el elemento central el árbol y el fruto del noni. Sale en esta botella que ya no es blanca, que ya es morada, que tiene la imagen del árbol y del fruto. Así es que no se asusten si reciben una u otra, o si estabas recibiendo la blanca y de repente empiezas a recibir la botella con el árbol del noni. Es exactamente el mismo producto, exactamente la misma fórmula, simplemente es una nueva imagen. Mismo producto, nueva imagen, y ustedes entraron, ya se lanzó este producto para ustedes exactamente en esta transición a lanzar la nueva imagen. Así es que no se asusten, y cualquier duda, siempre estamos a sus órdenes, estoy para servirles. Y pues nuevamente, si me ayudan en el chat con muchos 5 para darle las gracias a Brett West, muchos 5 para despedirlo con aplausos virtuales, aplausos digitales en el chat. Si me ayudan con 5, eso, 5 para aplausos, y agradecerle a Brett. Thank you very much, Brett. Have a good night, and we hope to have you here again talking about Max, TJ, Noni Post Collagen, and all the secret stuff that you have for us.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Thank you, Brett.
Pleasure.
Gracias a todos. Gracias por haber estado aquí conectados. Que Dios los bendiga. Que tengan buena noche. No nos despedimos. Hasta pronto. Chao.